Hello, church family. It's my pleasure to be able to bring you an update from the elders, our weekly video that we put out, just to try to keep everybody informed and up to date with the different changes that are happening here at the Linder Road Church of Christ. We appreciate you tuning into these, and we hope you find them informative and uplifting. I'll beg your indulgence this morning because I'm going to be doing a lot of reading off of this script to start out here, just because I want to make sure I'm conveying the information accurately. As was announced previously, we plan to start holding services at the building Sunday, July 5th. As is expected, there are going to be some challenges with managing our attendance and adhering to social distancing practices that have been ordered. We want to be able to come together and adhere to best practices out of concern for everyone's health. We appreciate those of you who participated in our survey last week. This was done in order to help plan for what we could expect with regard to attendance when we meet again. Based on the response from the congregation and weighing other factors in as well, the elders have decided to start with 2 morning worship services, one at 9 a.m. and another at 11 a.m. starting on July 5th. We plan to also live stream the 9 a.m. service for a live feed for those who have made the decision to continue worshiping from home. And the service will also be available later in the day as a recording, as usual. This will help us to balance the need for social distancing space and our constraints on space here at the building. In order for us to manage attendance capacity, we are going to need further feedback from you as a congregation as to which service you would prefer to attend or if you plan to worship from home. We are also asking for your understanding that perhaps there may be times when your preferred service time has met capacity and you will be asked to attend the service that was your second choice. The way we will be collecting information will be primarily by texting your preference through the church team's application. So if you can text with your phone, you should be able to provide us with your preference. This will allow us to tabulate when we are reaching capacity for a certain service, and then you will be notified if the service you have chosen has reached that capacity and asked to sign up for attending the other. Lori will be sending an instructional email out to the congregation with details on how to submit your request through church teams. We will also be making every effort to reach those members who do not text their response by way of their care group leaders to be as thorough in this process as we can be. Your cooperation on all of this is greatly appreciated. Sunday and Wednesday evening devotionals and Sunday adult and children's classes will continue to be available via Facebook and or YouTube. You can look forward to more information coming out in the next couple of weeks as the day grows closer to when we'll meet again. Also be on the lookout for a video that we will share that shows what we can expect when we come back together and what that might look like here at the building with our various stations that we come to check into and our social distancing efforts with seating. Well, thank you for that. I do have a quick devotional thought, just wanted to share. I don't know if you're like I am and you're getting maybe a little bit weary of all this social distancing. And you look back and you might think, boy, I can remember when I could walk in and get a haircut and not have to schedule it out 3 weeks in advance. Or the other things that go on in our lives that seem to be disrupted. We have a way as people of looking back on past times, maybe even more so when we go through a difficult time, and thinking in a nostalgic way about them. We know that's not always a clear picture. We have an example in Numbers 11, 4-6, that man has been doing this all throughout history. This is an instance when the children of Israel are walking through the desert, and they have been provided food because they first wailed and said, "You brought us out here to die, we're going to starve." So God says, okay, here's manna for you, you'll be sustained. Amazingly enough, I don't know how long a time it took. I imagine it might not have been that long. When we see here in verse 4, the rabble with them began to crave other food. And again the Israelites started wailing and said, "If only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna." Seems to be a very ungrateful way to address God's blessings, but The other side of that is it's totally inaccurate. I mean, they say that we had fish at no cost, and then go on to list out their other various favorite foods there. But think about that statement. We're there at no cost. You were enslaved. You were possibly beaten. You were in hard labor. I mean, that nostalgic way of looking back on things was just not accurate at all. And it's no wonder that Solomon, the wisest man in the world, says in Ecclesiastes 7, verse 10, "Do not say, 'Why were the old days better than these?' For it is not wise to ask such questions." To quote somebody else that came to mind, you might think of a song that Billy Joel sang that said, "The good old days weren't always good, and tomorrow ain't as bad as it seems." Well, what's the upshot of our advice not to look back on the old days and say, why were they better? Well, it could just be the fact that it's inaccurate most of the time. Distance has a way of making us forget things, but it also can give us some perspective. I think maybe Solomon's upshot of this is, what are you going to do about it anyway? Is looking back in time and saying, oh, old things were better back then, does that help you out in today with what you're doing? Not really. It's kind of a waste of energy. You know, distance can give us perspective. Someday, Lord willing, we'll look back at this time with the COVID lockdown, and we'll look back and say, yeah, remember when we had to go through that? Everything was really disrupted, and it was really a bad time for our country. But hopefully we'll be looking back on that and saying, it's great that we're at a better place. The flip side of that is we don't have any guarantees in life, and I'm not trying to be a prophet of doom, but it might even be that we look back and say, wow, we thought we had it bad back when COVID was here. Look at where we're at now and the struggles that we're going through. We don't have any guarantees in this life as far as how it's going to go. Only God knows that. But we do know that we've got a guarantee that we can trust in God and that He's up there and He cares for us. 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. So we know that God's up there looking down on us, and He does care about us. He does love us. The other example that we have from Paul is where he states about being in very many different circumstances in his life, having living in abundance, living in need, having persecution, not having persecution. He basically says he's learned to be content with that. I think we can take a lesson from that also. So the question that might be facing on that is, how in this time, no matter what time we're going through, are we trusting in God, and how are we doing what we can in our circumstances to glorify and to serve Him in all things? I'll leave you with that thought. The elders care about you. We're looking forward to seeing everybody again soon. But in the meantime, if there's any need that you have, any prayer request, anything we can do for you, just reach out either to Lori here at the building or to us individually. Let us know what your need is. May God bless you.